What's up guys, Asian here again with another Trials video, and today we're going to be going over Vet Cloudrest. Specifically this is going to be the Siroria side boss. So as you guys might know or already, Vet Cloudrest is styled very much in the same way as Asylum Sanctorium from the Clockwork City DLC, where you have one main boss and then you have kind of three side bosses, and you can pick and choose which side bosses you want to face, making the final fight harder the fewer side bosses you decide to kill. Now, the guilds that I am in, we have not yet started Cloudrest hard mode. We were just farming for perfect gear so we can be best prepared for Cloudrest hard mode. We do have a couple of videos here of Zamaja by himself and Zamaja with +1, but we don't have any with Zamaja +2 and Zamaja hard mode. So these particular videos are just going to be looking at the side bosses, and then we'll go over Zamaja by herself, and then we'll go over just one of the +1s, and then hopefully we'll be able to get a hard mode guide video out pretty soon, depending on how quickly we're able to clear hard mode. So this is one of the side bosses. This is Sororia, so we're just going to go ahead and start the video here. So the first thing that you have to know about all the side bosses is that there are some ads that you have to take out here. So you can see here you have a creeper, you have a couple of Jaeger that you gotta take out, so that's pretty much self-explanatory. So this is the first mob that might cause you guys some trouble, so I might as well talk about this now. So this is a Jaeger monstrosity. Some people call them bellies because it's basically the Veladreth model just shrunken down. What the Jaeger monstrosity can do is whoever it is targeting, it can put what's called a debuff known as Baneful Mark. Now, the Baneful Mark debuff basically reduces your health down to about 10%, and then it applies about an 80% healing debuff on you. And the only way you can get rid of this debuff is either the monstrosity dies or you get healed all the way up to full health. So there are multiple ways that you can combat this debuff. The most common one that I've seen used is just using undo. So hopefully you'll be at 100% health from 4 seconds before Baneful Mark is applied to you. So you just hit undo and you'll just report back to where you were 4 seconds ago and have full health, and you get rid of Baneful Mark. The other option is just to stack a lot of healing on you. So you use something like Stalwart Guard for major or minor vitality, or Green Dragon Blood for minor vitality. You would use major vitality potions to gain major vitality. You would use Igneous Shields for major mending, and then you just use Green Dragon Blood or a Cinderstorm or a Vigor or something to help heal you up. Healers hit you with Healing Springs, Healing Ward, anything that you need in order to get all the way up. It's not a big deal here in the side bosses, but for the Zamaja fight, it's going to be very, very important to help mitigate that Baneful Mark debuff.
Everything else is possible.
So we're just going to skip ahead here. Alright, so each of the side bosses consists of really two bosses. The first one is what we call the Griffon, or bird. That's obviously the bird. And then you have the rider, which is actually the elf, the rider of that particular Griffon. So in this case, in Sororia, we have Sororia, the rider, and then we have, I believe it is Balanaril, or no, Silaeda is the Griffon. So each of them have their own name, but most groups just simplify them to rider and Griffon. So the Griffon has a couple of special moves here. So the first one here with Sororia is a Roaring Flame. Now each of the three side bosses, their Griffons have a special move, and you know they're going to do it when they rear up on their hind legs like this and do a screech. So in this case we have Roaring Flame for this Silaeda. So what happens here? If you go ahead and start, so you can see here that it says Roaring Flame on Noah. This is through Raid Notifier, and you can see there is a AoE that grows underneath whoever is targeted by this move. Now, if nobody stacks with that person when it goes off, when the small circle reaches the circumference of the larger circle, that person dies. If one other person is there, that person also dies. So in order to survive this move, you need 2 or more people to be stacked inside that circle. In other words, you need 3 people within the circle. This deals damage to you. It is oblivion damage, so you can't block, you can't shield through it. You can reduce it through things like Minor Aegis, but that's basically it. So if you go ahead and take a look here, you can see that you basically just stack everybody right on top of whoever has the bomb, and you can see here that it deals damage to everybody. Now you can see here that the Griffon will fly into the air from time to time. That does happen. All 3 of the Griffons will do that if you fight against the side bosses. When they do so, they will throw out these little storms here that you can see here. So these little storms here will stun you if they hit you, and they will apply a a dot on you called Dark Drain. It can't be cleansed, so you just have to heal through it and avoid getting hit by those circles. So we'll keep on talking about the Griffon mechanics here, and we'll talk about Sororia mechanics later, which is the rider. So the Griffon basically does this giant whirlwind that knocks you down if you get hit by it and you're not blocking. So you can see here I got hit by it, and it will also put Dark Drain on you. So all of the AoEs that the Griffon puts down will put basically Dark Drain on you. Now the Griffon will just fly back and forth among the field. There's really no rhyme or reason to which direction it's flying, and the direction that it flies in, it'll drop those smaller tornadoes, and it'll kind of like, if it goes down a path this way, then the tornadoes will kind of go out the side of the path like so. So you just want to just be mindful of that. It's very hard to predict where it's going to go, so just try your best to avoid getting stunned by those whirlwinds. And then after a certain period of time, the Griffon will come back down and land. Where it's going to land is going to also be pretty random. So you can see here that you have the whirlwinds coming in. And so the Griffon comes back down, and then you taunt the Griffon, and you keep on going against the Griffon. So the way that most groups do it is that you attack the Griffon while it's on the ground, and while it's in the air, you attack the rider. The rider has much less health. It has about a third of the health of the Griffon, so the rider will go down pretty fast. You want them both to go down around the same time. If you don't do it, then you'll get these creepers, and it's pretty much going to be a wipe. So you want to maintain about equal percentages of health. So you don't want to kill the rider if the Griffon still has like 30% health or something like that. So you kind of want to keep them pretty even, 1 million, 2 million on each, and then you kill one, and then you kill the other. And so that's basically the Griffon mechanics. So if we go ahead and just move over to the, let's see if we can find a place where, okay. So Silaeda has a couple of moves that you want to watch out for. The first one is going to be a Dragon Standard, which you guys saw earlier. Just basically your typical Dragon Standard that puts it down. You just want to get out of it and make sure Sororia is also out of it, because it's just like the actual Standard. It will empower her moves. She has a heavy attack. You want to block it. And then she has Engulfing Flames, which is just a conal in front of her. Pretty short. Don't have to worry too much about that. You just got to step out of it. Whenever Sororia hits you with a heavy attack, regardless of whether it is blocked or not, she will apply a burning debuff on you, which is not the same as the burning debuff that you apply, but it is a dot, so you just want to be mindful of that. See if you can get her to do her. Let's move ahead a little bit.
Okay, we're switching. Just get her down to 10%.
So you can see here, Siroria is just. So when Siroria has another move here, and that's when she raises her sword into the sky, like that. What she's gonna do? She's basically gonna jump into the air. You can see here she jumps into the air. Now there's gonna be a red AOE that grows somewhere on the field. Normally it's gonna be from the farthest person from where Siroria is, but it might not be. When she lands,
that's enough.
as you can see here, she landed right over here.
We can just range.
And then you can see that there are going to be giant fire tornadoes that spit out from wherever she ends up landing. These fire tornadoes will do a lot of damage, and they will move around fairly slowly. They kind of move in a little bit of a circular pattern, so if you think of it like as a windmill. Actually, the safest place to be when she does this move is actually to kite around the outside of the tornado and basically be right where she was when she jumped down. This is because they'll always move out, they'll never move back in. So if you're within the inner side here, you'll never get hit by the fire. So that's a little trick that I picked up there while doing this fight here. Now, throughout this fight, you will have to do the Shadow Realm. Unfortunately, I do not have footage of the Shadow Realm, but basically a portal will spawn in the middle of the room here, and you'll have a couple of DPS go down. There'll be crystals that you have to destroy. The crystals are pretty easy to kill. They only have like 400k health. When the crystal is destroyed, a black ball will appear. This ball will shoot out occasional projectiles to everybody in the room. Doesn't do a lot of damage. It deals magic damage. When the crystals is destroyed and one of the orbs is exposed, there will be a spear that spawns on the surface world, so the world of light, so to speak. Somebody has to go to that spear, hit the synergy button, and it'll send the spear into the shadow world. Now what the people in the shadow world have to do is they have to pick up the ball with a synergy, and then they will run it to the spear. While you are carrying the ball, you will take oblivion damage, so you will need a form of self-heal, like Surge for Sorks or Funnel Health for Mag Blades, or Jaeger for Stam. And then you do that 3 times, so there's 3 crystals, 3 cores, you 3 spears. So once all 3 spears are done, then you get automatically ported back up to the world of light. There will be ads that spawn throughout the fight here, and if you take too long in the shadow world, then 4 Jaeger monstrosities will spawn, and while it is not impossible to recover from it, it is quite difficult to recover if you have those 4 Jaeger monstrosities spawned there. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have any footage of the Shadow World, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. I don't believe I went down the Shadow World at all for these side bosses here. So that is basically it for this fight here. And again, you do want to kill the bosses at around the same time, because if you don't, then you will have a bunch of creepers that spawn, and you will wipe, because the creepers, when they do hit you, they will basically apply a silence on you, so you can't use any magicka based ability. So that is it for this trials guide. It is very short because these bosses are pretty simple, pretty straightforward, not a lot of mechanics to deal with. So if you guys have any questions about this boss, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can. Hope you guys found this video informative, and I will see you guys in the next trial.